Coming up next on The Voice of Alabama Politics, a paper lottery? Also, the V-Team takes a look at a world full of crazies. And Republicans react to Steve Marshall's latest fiasco.
It's like I picked the wrong week to quit smoking. It's like I picked the wrong week to quit drinking. It's like I picked the wrong week to quit amphetamines. It's like I picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
What it really looks like is they just picked the wrong candidate. All this and much, much more coming up next on The V. Welcome to The Voice of Alabama Politics, where we tackle the tough issues so you have the hard facts. I'm your host, Bill Britt, and as always, I'm joined by the V-Team. Welcome all.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi. We got the kids on set today.
Yes.
We're here.
We had the brains and the looks, right?
There you go.
That sounds
The
good.
average age has dropped by half.
Yeah, well, so's IQ.
That's mean.
Anyway, good to have you.
Glad to be here.
Both back. Have Charlie back. Chip, we talked about this a lot when the Republicans took over the legislature with their supermajority in 2010. They passed ethics laws and strict campaign finance laws that in hopes of giving voters confidence that they would know who was donating to folks, what kind of money they were taking, that there was transparency in government. And we've seen about 6 or so of folks go to jail or at least be indicted. We've seen a lot of top Republicans be taken down because they ignored the campaign finance laws, the ethics laws, those types of things. Now we have an Attorney General, Steve Marshall. He was appointed by Robert Bentley. He has taken $735,000 from the Republican Attorneys General Association in what we believe to be a violation of campaign finance laws. Even Director Albritton has said other candidates did that would be wrong. Now we find out that he also took $18,500 from RAGA in-kind contributions and didn't report it. I mean, how many violations can this guy do before the Republicans say no more?
Yeah, that's my question. And apparently there's no trouble that you get in if you do this. And when it happens twice and nobody does anything, nobody even acts at all shocked, and I'm kind of manufacturing my shock here, but and nobody does anything and we just let it sit out there, that tells other people that they can do the exact same thing. And if the point is for things to be transparent and for us to know what kind of donations people are getting, who they're being paid by, what kind of is there, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You have to know this kind of stuff. And if this gives people a free ride to do the exact same thing, and there's no telling what other people are doing.
I mean, Susan, it was literally, they made PAC-to-PAC transfers illegal. Marshall took $735,000 from a group that takes PAC money that was so illegal for you to take it that his predecessor, Luther Strange, sent the money back.
Took the words right out of my mouth. And not only, and what we're talking about here is not only the $735,000 that he took in cash.
Right.
All right. We're talking about $18,500 he failed to report. I went through every report he had from April through present day, whether it was a daily, a weekly, a major contribution. It's not there. But yet RAGA reported that they had given him $18,500 in opposites and research. Now, anybody who's been involved in any campaign in their life knows that every op research contract ends with what is called a book. It's called a book because it's a document full of all the information they pay. Now, if he didn't receive a document, he didn't know that this had happened, there wasn't a book that went, then RAGA just wasted their $18,000. He had to know he got that
Well,
information.
they reported that they gave it to him.
They
So
did,
it
but
doesn't matter what, I mean, he has a responsibility to report it. Now, he reported Charlie, he reported other in-kind campaign contributions, but the money that dug the dirt on Alice Martin, Troy King, and Chess Bledsoe, he just didn't put that down there.
No, just didn't put that down. And apparently, like Chip said, what you asked him, you can do this and immeasurable amount of times and just say, oh, I forgot, or oh, you know, we just made a mistake, and you just get off scot-free and just get to walk away from it with no penalty. What is the point of having these laws if you're not going, if someone like Steve Marshall violates them, gets to walk away? I don't understand it.
I mean, there is no penalty for taking illegal campaign contributions, like PAC transfers, or failing to report.
And there's no telling how often this happens and doesn't get reported, and he just gave people a blank check to do the same thing.
Yeah, that's
Because
right.
I contacted the Secretary of State's office and did not tell them who we were discussing, told them the situation and the circumstances that we had found, and they said, well, if a complaint was filed, that what they would do is reach out to them and ask them to amend the return.
To the offender.
To the offender and ask them to amend the return.
So-
and that's basically as far as it goes.
So when the Republicans did all the campaign finance reform, some things you cannot do because you will be fined or you will be criminally charged.
Yeah, you can get fined until it gets to the Ethics Commission and they throw the fines out.
Other things you can just not report what you got and don't worry about it.
This is the party of law and order.
Yeah,
Didn't you
don't
know
worry
that?
about it. Right.
Yeah.
I want to stay with this subject. You know, Chip, we often see voters who vote against their interests, but this is one big one. The Alabama Hospital Association has recently announced, they told the Associated Press, that they had launched a campaign to expand Medicaid under the Affordable Care Act. That means that more people would be covered, that there'd be more people who had insurance, that Dane Howard, who is the head honcho over there for this public affairs, she said that if we didn't expand Medicaid, hospitals would close, we'd lose doctors and so on and so forth. Yet they're not backing the candidates who back them.
Yeah, and I can't count the number of times that they've come out and said expanding Medicaid would not only save our hospitals, which are in dire trouble, but would also help the state economically. Because when you put that kind of money back into your hospitals, you're helping the community. And for them to want this and then go and spend the money with, you know, the party that's been opposed to that for now 8 years, just doesn't really make sense to me.
What?
The only thing that does make sense to me is I think they're trying to give their money to the people who they know will probably.
That's what they're. But it's cynical because look, they say that they want to expand Medicaid and protect the pre-existing condition. They're giving money to Steve Marshall, who says that he wants to end Obamacare. He wants to end coverage for pre-existing conditions.
He signed on with a lawsuit in Texas for that.
And
very reason.
Ivey says, well, she's just not going to expand it. But they give their money to them. They don't give their money to Walt Maddox or Jeff Siegel. Is it just that cynical?
It's just that cynical. It's just this, you know, basically betting on who they think is going to win the race. They're not really putting their money where it's most effective for their particular cause. They're just, you know, betting on the ball game.
Exactly.
I mean, but Charlie, if you bet on the guy that's going to whip your butt after the fight, you still get your butt whipped.
Exactly. You're
Maybe
still going to get your
butt
vote.
a little less, though.
Anyway, well, we're going to have to leave it right there. You're watching the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back with more news and opinion.
You'll never guess what 400,000 people in the U.S. were using when they crashed their cars last year. No, not this. This. Distracted driving will kill you. Drive safe, Alabama. A message from your Alabama Department of Transportation.
I am the proud mother of Ethan Everman. Ethan has autism, diagnosed when he was around 4. It was a really tough time for us. We went to go get speech therapy and ABA therapy and realized that none of it was covered, which was really amazing to us. Tom Watley decided that he needed to try to make this bill pass, and he did. And because of Tom, children now get the therapy that they need, and he was a voice for the children in Alabama who didn't have a voice.
The Energy Institute of Alabama is the best source of energy industry information and how it affects households across the state, from convenient energy production to alternative fuels to solar power and beyond.
Two-thirds of drivers who died in car crashes chose to ignore this warning. Seatbelts save lives. Drive safe, Alabama. A message from your Alabama Department of Transportation.
Welcome back to The V, the voice of Alabama politics. This week, the League of Women Voters did something they have not done in 98 years, Charlie. They threw up their hands and go, okay, we're not going to host a governor's forum because Kay Ivey, as far as I know, a woman, and she has refused to even respond to their request to hold a forum in which she and Walt Maddox would sit down together. They've been doing this for 98 years. Governor Kay Ivey said, well, I didn't know I was invited.
Didn't know she was invited. And you know what? I really hate that. It's such a shame for them. And you know what? I saw Kay Ivey the other day out at a restaurant, and she looked quite fine. I really don't see why she would be ducking any kind of debate or forum right now, but that's something her, campaign has her doing. We all know my opinion on the Kay Ivey campaign, so.
I mean, Susan, you think it's just the campaign says, no, we don't want to let you out there, Governor, and she's raring to go?
I think, well, I don't know if she's raring to go or not, but I think it is decisively the campaign that's saying no. She's known about this for weeks. A reporter asked her about it in an open forum. She said, oh, I didn't know I got an invitation. I wasn't aware of that. But yet all the time what started this was she saying, well, it's only the media that wants us to debate. Well, the League of Women Voters came out and said, well, no, here, you two can come. You don't have to debate, but we'll put you in a forum. And it's not just the media, because we want to hear what you have to say, and maybe some of the voters do. And she didn't even bother to say no. She just ignored it. Exactly.
And I guess it's what we were talking about during the break. When you've got a one-party system, she's not worried about losing to Walt Maddox unless she does something to give him a win, right?
I think we should divide this into two different conversations about what's strategic and what's principled.
Yeah.
And it is strategic for her not to do the debates. I mean, it does not make sense for her to put herself in a direct comparison with Walt Maddox. The only thing that would happen is she's not going to go any higher. I mean, there's a ceiling.
Right.
The only thing that would happen is she would go lower. Strategically, she shouldn't do it. But we shouldn't elect people based off what strategic decisions they make. We should elect people based off of principle and what they're willing to do. And I think principally, voters need to be able to see who they're electing and their positions on things. And I don't know.
This is a total political calculation, Charlie, because they know that the R will probably drag them across the finish line.
It will, just because she's a Republican, she's probably going to take that win, as much as I hate that for Walt Maddox, because I think he would be a damn fine governor. I really do. But just the fact that she won't debate honestly makes me lose a lot of respect for her in the campaign. So.
Well, and I think there are a lot of people who feel that way, but they're just like the hospital association, Chip. They're going to try to stick with the winner.
Yeah. Again, that's the problem with the single-party system.
Yeah. Well, we were privy to some polls this week that shows that a misstep by Governor Kay Ivey and Walt Maddox actually walks away with this thing.
And then the poll also went on to 2 missteps. She's definitely gone.
Yeah.
I mean, I really think people are beginning to wake up and realize that she is hiding from being able to be in the public in a debate or whatever. I think they're beginning to realize that maybe her health is not as good as one would hope. And, so they're beginning to wake up and really pay attention to this race.
Listen, we all wish Governor Kay Ivey the best.
Oh, heavens, yes.
We, as the media, have a responsibility to say, you should debate. You should be forthcoming with the... And yes, the media is demanding it and asking for it, because you know what? It's the right thing to do.
And we're the voice of the people. We're the ones that yell and scream what other people are saying to us.
Yeah.
Why won't she debate? Why can't we see her out there? That's part of our job.
I have people ask me that probably on a daily basis.
Yeah. Well, and again,
That one, when are we getting a lottery, and when is Mike Hubbard going to jail? Those are the three.
Yeah, those are the three.
Those are the big three.
If it wasn't important, we wouldn't beat it to death every week on this show.
That's right. That's right. We don't just beat things to death
Just for the hell of it.
it's like, how many times do you want to saddle that donkey? Not as many times as you think.
Yeah.
I do want to move on to something. There was a miracle of sorts this week and last week in Alabama. Someone in the Republican Party actually stood up for Jefferson Beauregard Sessions, who used to be the most popular senator in Alabama since President Donald Trump has taken after him to be his whipping boy. His polling numbers are in the garbage can, Susan, but the young Republicans came out for it.
Back to what Chip said, principle instead of strategy here.
Yeah.
I mean, they actually, when most Republicans I know that absolutely adored Jeff Sessions up until Trump, they're now calling him Little Jeff and stuff like that. These people actually stood up and said, hey, he's one of ours and we're going to support him no matter what Trump says.
Well, as they point out, he did what he was obligated to do.
He had to do that.
He couldn't. He's not there to protect the president. He is there to protect the rule of law. I mean, Charlie.
The whole thing was I'm just glad somebody stood up and said something positive about him, because it's really just been a lot of negative lately. So I think he needed a little boost.
I feel bad for old Jeff Sessions. I feel like he was like the cute family dog that for Republicans that everybody liked and they loved him and he did all the great things. He was great at playing fetch and all this stuff. And then a new dog came along, a little bit younger, more exciting, and they just threw the old dog out on the back porch. And now it's so crazy to me.
Well,
it's like a total flip-flop.
Except for that dog had been around for 40 years. And within a matter of 2 years, less than 2 years, we had Trump. He's a laughing stock, throw him out the door.
And I don't think
God,
we should
never loved
forget
him.
about all of the reported things that Donald Trump has said about Jeff Sessions that are offensive to Southerners.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
Well,
doesn't have the proper education.
speaks
Really,
like he has
seriously?
marbles in his mouth.
Yeah. Well, Terry Lathan said we might speak a little slow, but we're not dumb about our elections, generally speaking. The funny thing is, we'll take the time to do this, is if you look at Donald Trump's policies, they are Jeff Sessions policies. They're not Donald Trump. They were Jeff Sessions first.
Exactly.
Donald Trump is Jeff Sessions' creature, not the other way around. Because we've got the policy papers on our website going back for 8 years.
Yes.
Jeff Sessions thought about hardline immigration before Donald Trump was even thinking about politics.
You mean before he was a Republican?
Way
before
before
Donald
way,
Trump?
We're not going to get into that. We're not going to
Way
get
before he was
into
a
no bashing the
pretty
president. No
recent.
bashing the president.
Sorry,
I'm just
I just
saying
couldn't take-
these are Session policies. Every bit of this is Sessions, tariffs, all this stuff, Sessions. Anyway, we're going to have to leave it right there. You're watching the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back with more news and analysis.
You'll never guess what 400,000 people in the U.S. were using when they crashed their cars last year. No, not this. This. Distracted driving will kill you. Drive safe, Alabama. A message from your Alabama Department of Transportation.
Hey, I'm Rick. And I'm Bubba from the Rick and Bubba Show. And if you know anything about us, you know we like to have fun.
However, there's one thing that's no laughing matter. We believe that everyone should be registered to vote, and they should have a qualified government-issued photo ID.
In order to have your voice heard and your vote counted, you must be registered to vote and have a photo ID.
Join Bubba and me and register to vote, and let's work together to make Alabama all it can be.
2/3 of drivers who died in car crashes chose to ignore this warning. Seatbelts save lives. Drive safe, Alabama. A message from your Alabama Department of Transportation.
Welcome back to the voice of Alabama politics. Susan, this past week, Speaker of the House, Mac McCutcheon, had been dogged a little bit by reporters over the issue of would there not be a lottery put forward during the upcoming session or gaming. And he said that he felt that only a paper lottery would have any chance of passing, and with all due respect to the Speaker, a paper lottery is not hardly worth what it's printed on. People just don't care about it.
No, they don't. It's not going to raise any money. This is just, again, putting a Band-Aid on something that the people of Alabama want an opportunity to vote on gaming, to vote on a lottery. So what they're doing is just kind of putting out something as a teaser. It'll never get through to start with, but let's not forget that we had experts in over the last few years, people that have had paper lotteries and Powerball and scratch-offs in their state, have been the ones that managed all of this to advise the legislature on what and what will not bring revenue to the state. And a paper lottery, they were told without a clue, it won't bring as much as $5 million a year.
Right.
It's not even worth doing.
Right. Because people, Charlie, they cross state line to play the video terminal lottery. I mean, the video terminal scratch-offs. They line up to buy those things. They Powerball.
I can't imagine how much money people from Alabama have spent in other states on their lotteries. Like, I really can't even fathom. But people don't want a paper lottery. They want to win right now. They want that instant satisfaction. They want scratch-offs. You know, like I said, they want to do the video terminals. And it's only going to help the Porch Creek in the end anyway. So
that's exactly what it'll do, is what I was about to say. As Josh brought up the other day, the only thing it's going to do, we've got a paper bingo for Porch Creek to have bingo. So we give them a paper lottery. They get the terminals.
Yeah,
that's the way it works.
And that's the crazy thing.
And we get nothing out of it.
You'd almost think that Bob Riley and the Choctaws were in league over here, and the Porch Creek were in league over here, because if they keep our state with just a paper lottery, then the Choctaws are happy because they get their people to go over to Mississippi and all their stuff, because they now are going to have the sports betting, right?
Yeah.
So if they pass a paper lottery, that means that the Porch Creek Indians can open up full electronic scratch-offs, lottery terminals, and everything. Because the way our Supreme Court's ruled, if Alabama can have paper, then the Porch Creek can have electronic.
I did not know that.
Yep, that's the way it is. So under IGRA rules, as soon as the state of Alabama passes any type of lottery, they can start a big lottery. They can do the video terminals. They can even do their own Powerball type lottery.
And the state gets
zero,
folks.
Zero.
Absolutely
Nothing.
And they keep saying that people don't want gaming in this state. They don't want gambling. Well, I'm sorry, folks. You've got gaming in the state. It's called Porch Creek Band of Indians, Wind Creek Casino, hundreds of millions of dollars every month. You don't get a dime of it.
We also wouldn't bring it up every year. This would not continuously be a story if people didn't care about it. And nobody read the pieces, and nobody it would not be a thing that kept coming up.
I don't know where these people go home to. When they leave the legislature over there, where do they go home to? Do they just go into their little garage? Because everywhere we go that people know we're in the media, we're in Montgomery, where we do business to get gas or cigarettes, everybody asks us constantly, when are we getting a lottery? When are we getting a chance to vote on a lottery? They must be going home and getting in a cave somewhere.
Well, the polling has it at around 72% of Alabamians want.
I very rarely meet anybody who's like, oh yeah, I just think I don't want a lottery.
Yeah. Well, and again, they're not thinking about paper lotteries.
And people don't look at it as a moral issue anymore. I think that might have been true. Yeah. I'm sure there are still some people that think that, but I don't think most people look at it as a moral issue anymore. Now people look at it as look at the millions and probably billions now of dollars that we've lost to Georgia, Tennessee, Florida at this point.
And I've got a solution for the people with a moral issue with it. Don't buy a ticket.
Yeah.
Real simple.
Well, but they want to save your soul too. And I am ethically, I think gambling is a zero-sum game for money. So ethically, I can make the case that it is not a good thing. It is not a good thing to do because all of my winnings equal all of your losing. So that's not good. It's not fair. But that if we choose to sit down and you say all my money you get to have if you win, that's on you, like you said.
But it being illegal in the state has nothing to do with what people are going to do. People just, if they want to gamble, they're going to gamble. They're going to go to Mississippi. They're going to go to Florida. They're going to go to Georgia. They're going to gamble if they want to.
Go to Wind Creek.
They're going to do it illegally online.
Yeah, but what happens is because we don't have the revenues from that gambling come back some way to the state, we don't have any way of taking care of the ills that it brings back. People with gambling addictions, we don't have a mechanism to help them deal with that.
You know, when I first looked at the Republican Party and thought what a great party the Republican Party was, they thought that they had no business telling you what you could do in your personal life.
They used to.
Now they want to get all up in your personal life. And of course, the Democrats, they say, want to get all up in your pocketbook. So which do you like, in your pocketbook or in your personal life? I don't want either one of them in my life. Do the politics, leave us alone. We are American citizens. We ought to be able to make up our mind if we want to take a drink, if we want to smoke, if we want to not smoke, if we want to not drink, if we want to gamble, if we want to not gamble, if we want to go to church, if we want to stay at home. We ought to be able to make up our own
We're all
minds.
adults here.
Yeah, well, depends. We got about 57 seconds, Chip. We wrote this week about patriotism, and we've been getting it confused lately with nationalism, and there's a big difference, isn't there?
My view on this is that a nationalist thinks that they just accept their country as great, as the best, and they accept the faults and they ignore the faults. A patriot looks at their country and they still love the country, but they look at those faults and say, I want to fix that. Or they look at a corrupt politician and they say, I'm going to blow the whistle on that and I'm going to stop that. That's two different things and we shouldn't get them conflated.
Well, I think that's very true, and I think you could make an argument that the person who stands with the Pledge of Allegiance and the person who kneels with the Pledge of Allegiance could either both be or neither be patriots, but it's the person who lives it every day, right, Susan? Lives the principles and values of our country. That's the real patriot.
That's the real patriot. That's the way we were raised to, and that's one of the reasons I guess we're in journalism is because we want to fix those problems.
That's right. Sound the alarm. You've been watching The V, the voice of Alabama politics. You watch us because we watch them.